Okay, students, now we'll start. See, this special Zoom class, we are going ahead on the request of some of the students who are appearing in the exam. They requested that I should discuss and try to solve with them the case studies which came in last year's exam, that is 2024 GS4 ethics paper. So, as you know, every year in part B of GS4 ethics paper, case studies do appear. And last year, just like previous years, there were 6 case studies. So we will start discussing one by one and try to solve that. And I propose to complete this in 2 classes, today and then next week. So perhaps 3 I will be able to complete today, because you might have seen that quite large paragraphs were given in the question itself. So we have to read the question properly. Then we'll try to find out what are the uh, ethical theories involved in that, and then what are options available, how options can be justified with the ethical theories, and what option should be finally selected, and then what should be the concluding comment. So all these things we can discuss today. Uh, Before I start, I just want to tell you there are about 30 ethical theories, different ethical theories, which can be applied on uh, case studies in different situations, different case studies, obviously. And for analyzing the case studies, Potter box model is there, and Kidder's dilemma paradigm is there. For applying other cases, ethical theories on case studies, there are a number of ethical theories which we'll see today also. A few will try to apply today. But for this, separate videos have already posted on the YouTube channel. You can see there. So about 30 cases, ethical theories, different ethical theories, right from Gandhian talisman to Aristotle's virtue ethics to Kant's uh, duty-based deontology, or John Rawls' justice-based theory. All these things we have discussed and we are already having. So now we'll try to start and try to finish it as quickly as possible. Now let me share the question paper in a way, because we'll first discuss the question and then we'll try to have the uh, what is the answer pertaining to that. So if you remember, because most of you might have already seen the uh, question paper of last year. So case studies are in part B, and the 7th question, it starts from 7th question. So what we will do is we'll discuss and try to find the model answer for 7th, 8th, and 9th question of last year's paper. Then 10th, 11th, and 12th questions we will discuss in next week class. So now let us go through the question first, because once we understand the question, we will understand its directive, and then we'll try to see what are the questions asked, sub questions, questions asked, and then how we can finally try to give the answer. So the question reads like, there is a technological company named ABC Incorporated, which is the second largest worldwide, situated in the third world. You are the chief executive officer of the majority shareholder of this company. The fast technological improvements have raised worries among environmental activists, regulatory authorities, and general public over the sustainability of this scenario. You confront substantial issues about the business environmental footprint. In 2023, your 48%, your organization had a significant increase of 48% in greenhouse gas emissions compared to the levels recorded in 2019. The significant rise in energy consumption is mainly due to the surging energy requirements of your data centers, fueled by the exponential expansion of artificial intelligence. AI-powered services need much more computational services and computational resources and electrical energy compared to conventional online activities. Notwithstanding their notable gains, the technology's proliferation has led to a growing concern over the environmental repercussions. resulting in an increase in warnings. AI models, especially those used in extensive machine learning and data processing, exhibit much greater energy consumption than conventional computer tasks, with an exponential increase. Although there is already a commitment and goal to achieve net zero emissions by 2030, the challenge of lowering emissions seems overwhelming as the integration of AI continues to increase. To achieve this goal, substantial investments in renewable energy use would be necessary. The difficulty is exacerbated by the competitive environment of the technology sector, where rapid innovation is essential for preserving market standing and shareholders' worth. To achieve a balance between innovation, profitability, and sustainability, a strategic move is necessary uh, that is in line with both business objectives and ethical obligations. Now, this is basically the whole case study. Now, what are the 4 questions asked? Now, let us see that, because this is important now. Now, first question is, what is your immediate response to the challenges posed in the above case? So first we have to find out what are the challenges posed, and then second, what should be our immediate response? Because there are response can be of 3 kinds. One is immediate response, then medium term, and then long term response. So immediate short term response we have to mention in part A of this case study. Second, B says discuss the ethical issues involved in the above case. So B clearly says that discuss the ethical issues involved. C, your company has been identified to be penalized by the technological giants. What logical and ethical arguments will you put forth convince about its necessity? So this is third C part. And fourth part is being a conscious being, what measures would you adopt to maintain balance between AI innovation and environment footprint? So this is fourth part. So this has to be answered in about 250 words, and this is 20 marks question. So 20 marks question means 5 marks for each part. It's there. So A, B, C, and D. So now let us straightway go to the answer, because we have already read the case study. We understand that this is environmental case study, and there is a problem because the CEO is working in a third world country. So there are some violations. Now, what can be the immediate response? What can be the long-term response? And what can be his reply for the violations which have been committed, violations of the agreements which have been committed? And what are the ethical theories or ethical issues involved? So all these things let us see now. Now, part A, we will start. What is immediate response? Now, as a CEO of ABC Inca, I would initiate a 3-tiered ethical response. So this is, now first is transparent acknowledgement. So this is first point, because when you are dealing with ethics, you cannot, transparency has to be there. Truthfulness has to be there. If some fault has been committed, you have to accept and then try to resolve the issue. So transparent acknowledgement, publicly disclose the 48% emission rise and reaffirm our 2030 net zero goal, upholding the duty of institutional integrity. So on the one hand, we have to say that yes, 48% rise has been there, but still we are committed to our agreement of 2030 net zero goal. So this will uphold institutional integrity and also our commitment to the earlier agreement. Now, what is second, which we can take? Containment and audit. So this is again second step which one should take up. Impose a temporary pause on non-critical AI training. So please understand this word. Non-critical AI training means AI training you have to divide in 2 parts. One is critical part, another is non-critical. Critical part you cannot stop. So you have to identify non-critical part, and you have to temporary pause for non-critical part, and conduct a comprehensive energy audit across all data centers. So this has to be done just to find out what we can do, how best we can tackle this issue. Now, third step which one should take is sustainability governance. That is, establish a green AI council in the organization of experts to develop a responsible innovation strategy aligned with climate goals and stakeholders' trust. So these are the three immediate responses one has to do. First, accept, yes, mistake has happened, but we are still committed with the larger goal of 2030. Second, analyze your internal organization, conduct an audit. Third, establish an expert committee to develop a responsible innovation strategy aligned with climate goals on the one hand, and on the other hand, stakeholders trust. So that both objectives, the objectives of the organization as well as the environmental goals, both are taken up together. Now, what are the ethical issues involved in this? Now, we will reach to part B. First is intergenerational justice. This is very important because whenever you are dealing with any environmental case study, this intergenerational issue will definitely come. And here also it's involved because future generations bear the cost of present day emissions. So this is first ethical issue which is involved here. Second is conflict of values. Now, what are the values which are in conflict? The tension between AI growth on the other hand and environmental limits on the other hand. So this is very, very important because unless there is AI growth, the development of the area, the development of the country or third world country will be suffering. But if environmental limits or environmental goals are not followed, then another problem will come. Sustainability will be affected. So this is the conflict of values. Then distributive justice in a resource constraint setting, because third world, it's like that. So in a resource constraint setting, high energy use for corporate gain may worsen local inequalities. So this is again distributive justice is again third ethical issues which is involved here. Fourth, moral accountability. Inaction or opacity erodes public trust and violates ethical duty of transparency. So one has to be transparent. So this is fourth ethical issue which is involved in this whole case study. Now let us try to see what ethical arguments the CEO will put forth on the allegations of the technological giants. So because the organization has already been penalized, so now organization has to defend itself. So now what can be the arguments which are put forth by the CEO? Now first is climate equity. As per common differentiated responsibilities, developing nations merit regulatory flexibility during ecological transitions. Now, this is very important because, see, developed countries have already developed and they, in previous, historical phase, have already violated all kinds of environmental norms. So, if all restrictions are put on developing countries itself, it will affect their development also. So, the here issue is there has to be a regulatory flexibility as far as developing nations or third world countries are concerned. So this is our first argument, that the common but differentiated responsibilities. There are, yes, common responsibilities. Everyone should reduce the emission and control the environment degradation and all those things. But the responsibilities have to be differentiated. For developed nations, yes, strictly you can follow. But for developing and underdeveloped countries, there has to be a regulatory flexibility. Now, second is good faith conduct. ABC has demonstrated intent through public commitments, audits, and corrective mechanisms. All these things you will say, because whatever you have mentioned in part A of this answer, same thing will be argued here also. That we have very transparently, we have agreed that this 48% emission is there. So we have already started internal audit. We have already put a committee, and we are on for the corrective mechanisms. So we are very honest as far as the acceptability of the fault and corrective mechanisms are concerned. So good faith conduct is second argument, strong argument, which will you put forth. What is third? Fairness. That is, uniform penalties ignore structural disadvantages, violating procedural fairness and discouraging ethical compliance. Because third world countries definitely require different treatment. And the John Rawls theory also, right to equality also. Equality should be with equals. So, same thing John Rawls has also put, that whatever is in favor of least disadvantages, that rule can be violated. So here also, fairness means not uniform penalties. Fairness means taking into account the structural disadvantages, taking into account the developmental disadvantages. You have some differentiation in penalties. So this is our third argument. Now, what is the fourth uh, point D? I mean, the question was, being a conscious being, what measures would you adopt to maintain balance between AI innovation and environmental footprint? So this is the D part. So now what will be the D part answer? So now what will be the conscience-based measures for balancing both AI and environment? First is green infrastructure. Transition to renewable power data centers and energy efficient hardware. So this is very important, because this is one thing we want to propose, that data centers to extent possible should be powered by renewable energy, and the hardware which we are going to install should be energy efficient, so that less energy is consumed there. What is second? Sustainable AI models. Prioritize low energy algorithms, carbon aware computing, and environmental audit for all projects. This is second. Third is internal carbon pricing. Embed climate cost in all innovation matrices. So internally in the organization also, you try to penalize whichever branch or whichever department or whichever data center is not performing properly. Public-centric innovation. Align AI growth with social good, guided by Gandhian trusteeship and Rawalsian fairness. So the final conclusion will be of this: true leadership lies in harmonizing innovation with ethical stewardship. So these are the four parts basically, and this completes 250 words, 5 marks each. In environmental case studies, one has to be very, very careful, because on the one hand, the environmental protection is very, very important. Intergenerational issues are very, very important. On the other hand, development is also very important. So these kind of case studies are going to come. This year also it will come, I'm sure, because these are current affairs, sensitized case studies, I will say, because environment or gender issues and all these things are going to come. These are very universal kind of topics. Now, let us say eighth case study. Next question in the paper, which is eighth question. I will just read out again the case study, because that is important. We have to first understand what is the ethical dilemma and what are the other things involved. Raman is a senior IPS officer and has recently been posted as a DG of State, Director General of Police, DGP, you may knowing. Among the various issues and problems, challenges which needed his immediate attention, the issue relating to recruitment of unemployment youth by an unknown terrorist group. So this is the issue relating to recruitment of an unemployed youth by unknown terrorist group was a matter of grave concern. It was noted that unemployment was relatively high in the state. The problem of unemployment amongst graduates and those with higher education was much more grave. Thus, they were vulnerable and soft targets, obviously. In the review meeting taken by him, the senior officers of DIG range and above, it came to the light that a new terrorist group has emerged at the global level. It has launched a massive drive to recruit young unemployed people. Special focus was to pick young people from a particular community. The said organization seemed to have the clear objective of using them for carrying out militant activities. It was also gathered that the said new group is desperately trying to spread its tentacles in his state. A definite, reliable intelligence tip was received by the state CID and cyber cell that a large number of such unemployment youth have already been contacted by the terrorist outfit group through social media and organization, other contacts. The need of the hour was to swiftly and to check these elements designs before they use serious proportions. Discrete inquiries made by the police through cyber cell revealed that good numbers of unemployed youth are active on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. On an average, many of them were spending 6 to 8 hours each day using electronic devices, internet, etc. It also came to light that such unemployed youth were showing sympathy and endorsing the messages received from certain persons, allegedly the contact persons of the global terrorist group. Their social media accounts revealed their strong affinity to such groups, inasmuch as many of them started forwarding anti-national tweets on their WhatsApp and Facebook, etc. It seemed that they succumbed to their ploy and started propagating secessionist ideology. Their posts were hypercritical of the government initiatives, policies, and subscribing to extreme beliefs and promoting extremism. Now, this is the case study regarding an recruitment of unemployed youth by extremist organizations, and you are a most police officer of the state. What will you do? So now, what are the questions? Now, let us see. A, B, C, three questions are there. So roughly 7 marks, 7, and 6 marks each. So what are the options available to Raman to tackle the above situation? So first question itself is, what are the options available? So you have to tell what are the options available, what he will do now. Second, what measures would you suggest for strengthening the existing setup to ensure that such groups do not succeed in penetrating and vitiating the atmosphere in the state? So basically, second is what action you will take. Now, third is, see, in the above scenario, what action plan would you advise for enhancing the intelligence gathering mechanism of the police force? So basically, there are two parts in actions to be taken. One regarding intelligence is C, and for strengthening the existing setup to ensure that such groups do not succeed is B. So B and C are both basically the actions to be taken, and A is what are the options available. So now let us try to understand what are the options available and what actions will be taken. And this we have to answer in 250 words. Options available to Mr. Raman. As DGP, Raman must adopt a legally sound, ethically balanced, and operationally decisive response. Now, this is very important sentence, you see, legally sound, because any response cannot be illegal. So it has to be legally sound. Then it has to be ethically balanced and operationally decisive, because he has to take immediate decision. He cannot delay it further because already recruitment has started. Now, what are the various options available? I mean, what are the various options he should take, actions he should take? Now, first is constitutionally guided surveillance. This is one option he is having. So, intensify digital monitoring under Section 19. Before I go further, I just want to tell all of you, see, whenever these kind of case studies come, wherever ethical theories are relevant, you have to quote ethical theories and support your answer that. Wherever constitutional provisions are relevant, you have to quote constitutional provisions. In some Supreme Court cases may be relevant. In some various acts and provisions are there. For those acts also can be quoted. So you have to basically be very, very careful in quoting. Now, in this answer, in one or two places, I have written IPC. Now, IPC has been changed by Bharatiya Nyaya Sanghita, BNS. So, this IPC sections needs to be changed by BNS sections. So, this you please note, because now, first action, what he should take is, why I have told that, because we are quoting IT Act, we are quoting BNS, and we are also quoting other acts and Supreme Court cases also, and then also ethical theories also. So first is constitutionally guided surveillance. Intensify digital monitoring under Section 69 of the IT Act and UPA. That is and UPA while upholding Article 21. Now, Article 21 is again very important, because this is from Constitution right to privacy, because Article 21 is basically right to life and liberty, and this was upheld by Supreme Court in Justice K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India case in 2017. So this so whatever you monitor from government side with digital monitoring, you cannot simply invade the privacy. So on the one hand, you have to intensify the digital monitoring, and on the other hand, you have to also respect right to privacy. So this is constitutionally guided surveillance. So that's what written, constitutionally guided surveillance. So surveillance cannot be unguided. So this is very important. Now, second is community trust building. Engage religious leaders and youth mentors in line with Sir Robert Peel's principle that police are the public. Now, because you have to gain the trust of that community or that particular section of the society from where the recruitment is being done. Third is targeted de-radicalization. Now, this is again very important because you have to identify the groups or the area, and you have to start de-radicalization by launching intervention programs based on rules and fairness, counseling those at risk without criminalizing the vulnerable. So you need not always file the criminal case, but you have to de-radicalize. You have to start publicity in different ways so that their mindset basically changes. Then lawful deterrence, invoke BNS sections where extremist activity is confirmed, ensuring the process. So this is again important. It's not that only decriminalizing or without criminalizing we have to proceed. Wherever serious issues are there or wherever activity is confirmed, you have to also take action against them under BNS also for lawful deterrence. Then root cause redressal. As you know, the root cause of this whole case study is unemployment, basically unemployment, poverty, because these kind of youths are only attracted to these kind of ideologies. So you have to coordinate with the programs like Skill India, PM Employment Guarantee Program, Digital India, and such schemes to counter uh, uh, their lure of radical groups through economic empowerment, employment basically. So employment has to be given them, income generating assets have to be transferred under these schemes to the extent possible. So these kind of steps are available with DGP. Now, one more thing you should understand, because certain actions he can himself take, for certain he has to coordinate. So therefore, if you see in fifth point, it is written coordinate with these programs, because these programs will come under the jurisdiction of some other departments or some other, it's not actually in police department. So others 1 to 4, perhaps police department themselves can take action. But fifth, employment generation or giving employment to them has to be coordinated by other departments. So coordinate with Skill India, PMEGP or Digital India or some other schemes also. There are numerous schemes at the state level as well as central level. So all those relevant schemes he can coordinate and see that these youth are given some gainful employment and they are economically empowered. Now, measures to strengthen the existing setup. Now, what he should do, because this is B part, I will again show you what is the B part of the question. What measures would you suggest or for strengthening the existing setup to ensure that such groups do not succeed in penetrating and vitiating the atmosphere in the state? So this is the second part, that what measures you will suggest for strengthening the existing setup. Now, first measure is integrated counter radicalization cell has to be created. Why? Because now this is a biggest challenge. So there are different cells working in silos. So those have to be integrated. So merge cyber cell, CID, intelligence for coordinated response, because coordinated response will be more effective. Definitely it's going to be better. Second is digital literacy campaigns. So disseminate counter narratives promoting constitutional values and civic responsibilities through social media, obviously. So on the one hand, terrorists are having their own campaign that you have to curb. On the other hand, counter campaign has to be started. So basically, digital literacy campaigns have also to be started. Then third is youth forums. Create grievance redressal and civic engagement platforms inspired by Vivekananda's vision of youth-led nation building. So this will ensure that if any youth group or if any unemployed youth is having some grievance, they can lodge their grievance and it can be, you can try to solve. Then NGO accountability. Monitor suspicious organizations within FCRA compliance, FCRA, foreign uh, uh, foreign exchange uh, Foreign Exchange Conservation uh, uh, and Regulation Act. So foreign currencies, if they some NGOs are receiving foreign donations, they are regulated by this FCRA Act 2010. So monitor suspicious organizations within the FCRA compliance, because they should be compliant with, because usually as you know, this is an international organization given here, so they will be sending money through some NGO or through some other such organizations. For that, FCRA licenses have to be taken under FCRA Act. So I mean, there are already a number of guidelines in under FCRA Act 2010. So those guidelines needs to be complied. And if any organization is not complying, then accordingly, the suspicion has to be there and the process should be initiated against those organizations. So this is again another measures which can be taken. Now, third part of the question, if you see, is in the above scenario, what action would you advise for enhancing the intelligence gathering mechanism of the police force? Now, this is third part of the question. So, enhancing intelligence mechanism. You see, these questions are very specific questions. So, you cannot deviate. I mean, you have your directive of this question is very clear. So, your answer also has to be to the point, focused. If they are asking enhancing intelligence mechanism, you have to reply to that extent only. If in the part B they are asking measures to strengthen the existing setup, you have to reply to that extent only. You cannot reply right each and everything. So now let us see what can be done by the DGP for enhancing the intelligence mechanism. Now, first is human intelligence unit. So human intelligence reinvigorate beat policing and local informer networks as per the community-centric policing. Now, I mean, some of you may be knowing because police has informers also from the community, and then the local beat constables also. They act as a very, very good liaison between the community and the higher up officials in there. So now human intelligence has to be emphasized here because that is more accurate kind of information. So first point which is being said here is that try to strengthen that beat policing and local informer networks. So as per the community centric policing models. So this is first point. Second is tech integration. Deploy AI driven analytics, geospatial mapping, and pattern detection for early identification. Now, this is again very, very important. Tech integration has to be done because you cannot depend on human information only. So you have to be technologically also as advanced as other groups are advanced. So this is again second point. Third is inter-agency synergy. Now, this is very important because there are so many departments, there are so many agencies which work as anti-terror organizations. For example, CID may be there, IB Intelligence Bureau is there, then NIA is there, MHA Ministry of Home Affairs is there. So strengthen real-time coordination among these organizations. So because then only, I mean, we are trying to quote some thinkers also reflecting Weberian Max Weber efficiency in a bureaucracy. Now, next is public visual platforms. Launch anonymous tip lines and reporting mechanisms to democratize vigilance. So this is again very, very important. So on the other hand, involving public as much as possible should be a strategy. Then internal better coordination should be the strategy. And then integration of technology should be another strategy. And then in conclusion, as B.R. Ambedkar said, constitutional morality is not a natural sentiment. It has to be cultivated. In such sensitive times, ethical leadership must protect both national security and social cohesion. So now this is again a very important concluding sentence as far as this case study is concerned. Now we will go to next case study and we'll try to understand what is asked in next. Now, with multi-pronged strategy of the central and state governments, especially in the last few years, the Naxalite problem has been resolved to a large extent in the affected states of the country. However, there are a few pockets in certain states where Naxalite problem still persists, mainly due to involvement of foreign countries. Rohit is posted as SP, Special Operations. Now, SPs, Superintendent of Police, are of different kinds. I mean, now because if Naxal areas dealing with only Naxalism, he is called SP Special Operations. If he is SP of a district, he will be Superintendent of Police of that district. So here the concerned officer is posted as SP of Naxal area or that special operations pertaining to Naxalism for the last 1 year in one of the districts which is still affected by the Naxalite problem. The district administration has taken a lot of development works in the recent past in the Naxalite affected areas to win the hearts and minds of the people. Over a period of time, Rohit has established an excellent intelligence network to get the real-time information regarding the movement of Naxalite cadre. To instill confidence in the public and have a moral ascendancy over the Naxalites, a number of cordons and search operations are being conducted by the police. Rohit, who himself was leading one of the contingents, got got a message through his intelligence source that about 10 hardcore Naxalites were hiding in a particular village with sophisticated weapons. Without wasting any time, Rohit reached the target village with his team and laid out a foolproof cordon and started carrying out a systematic search. During the search, his team managed to overpower all the Naxalites along with their automatic weapons. However, in the meantime, more than 500 tribal women surrounded the village and started marching towards the target house. They were shouting and demanding the immediate release of insurgents since they are their protectors and saviors. The situation on the ground was becoming very critical as the tribal women were extremely agitated and aggressive. Rohit tried to contact his superior officer, IG Special Operations for the state on the radio set and on mobile phone, but failed to do so due to poor connectivity. Rohit was in great dilemma since out of the Naxalites apprehended, two were not only hardcore top insurgents with prize money of and 10 lakhs on their heads, but were also involved in a recent ambush on the security forces. However, if he did not release the Naxalites, the situation could get out of control since the tribal women were aggressively charging towards them. In that case, to control the situation, Rohit might have to resort to firing, which may lead to valuable loss of lives of civilians and would further complicate the situation. Now, this is the case study. Now, you can understand the situation of this officer, and this kind of situations is usually, in the districts, every police officer may be facing in his careers at some other time. These kind of situations, maybe sometimes riots may be there, sometimes Naxal problems may be there, sometimes other communal or other, this kind of law and order problems will be there. Now, what are the questions asked? Again, here 4 questions are asked, sub questions, and in 250 words, one has to answer. First is, what are the options available with Rohit? So, first question is straightway, what are the options available with Rohit to cope up with the situation? Second is, what are the ethical dilemmas being faced by the Rohit? Second is ethical dilemmas you have to explain. Third is, which of the options do you think would be more appropriate for Rohit? So this again, you have to tell which are the options. And in the present situations, what are the extra precautionary measures to be taken by the police in dealing with women protesters? So basically, you have to tell what are the options, then what are the ethical dilemmas faced, then which options is justified in this situation. You have to again quote various ethical theories, and then a particular case has been asked regarding what are the extra precautions you have to take while dealing with women protesters. So now these are the 4 parts. Now let us try to understand what are each answer, answer for each part. Now, options available to the Rohit. And as I am telling again and again, we have to very, very to the point while answering, because you cannot simply deviate from the focus of the question asked. Because that most of the students do, because I am evaluating the answer sheets of also of some of the students, and I find that in particularly when the question is easy, when you understand, you try to write something which is not actually asked. So it's not the test of what you are knowing. It's a test that what is asked, whether you are able to write correctly or not. So be very, very careful. Even if you know more than what is asked, don't write all those things. So you have to very, very to the point and focused as far as our answers are concerned, and then only we will be able to, because one more thing I can tell you, this GS4 ethics paper is very, very demanding in a way that time constraints will be faced by almost all the students, because see, there are 13 parts for 150 words each. Then there are 6 questions for 250 words each. So basically about 4,000 words you have to write here and there. 3,800 to 4,000 words in 3 hours time. Now, which is very, very tough job, because you have to organize your answer, you have to write, think with your sequence, you have to, basically, unless you are very, very disciplined, you will not be able to stick to the time limits, you will not be able to stick to the word limit, and then accordingly the marks also will reflect. So now let us try to understand what are the options available to Rohit. First is uphold custody and restraint. So retain the apprehended insurgents and deploy non-lethal crowd control methods, that is tear gas, shields, adhering to NHRC guidelines, National Human Rights Commission guidelines are there, and DK Basu judgment. DK Basu judgment is basically Supreme Court case, DK Basu versus Union of India. So this in 1996. So these 2 guidelines you follow, and then non-lethal arrangements you have to do. So this is first option available. Then second is community-based dialogue. So engage tribal leaders, women leaders, or NGOs rooted in the area to de-escalate tension aligned with Gandhian conflict resolution and community policing principles. So this is second thing. Second option available to him. Third is tactical exit with key operatives. So prioritize evacuation of top level Naxals while deferring action on lower cadres to prevent violence, applying Kautilya's Arthas principle of strategic flexibility. So this is third option he is having. Fourth is conditional de-escalation, that is last resort, that if imminent harm to civilians looms, release non-hardcore suspects under legal undertaking, balancing utilitarian consequences with legal prudence. So this is again fourth option available. Now, what are the various dilemmas which are faced by Rohit? Now, let us try to understand that. First is rule of law versus harm minimization. Now, this is important because he has to stick to rule of law, or if he strictly follows the rule of law, then there may be some casualties also because he will have to fire, and the tribal women may die, or some other civilian may die. So this is again very. So on the one hand, Kantian duty is there. On the other hand, Bentham's or consequentialism is there. Then justice versus emotional solidarity. Arresting known offenders versus respecting tribal anguish rooted in systemic exclusion. So this is again Amar Sen's capability approach, because tribals have been excluded. Because of poverty, because of unemployment, because of exclusion from the society, they have become Naxal sympathizers, because they usually, in various cases, they may be helping them. Then third is gender sensitivity versus operational urgency. So managing an emotionally charged women-led protest within the framework of Article 21. Now this is again very important. So all these ethical dilemmas is being faced by Rohit. Now what is the most appropriate option? What is the option? So most appropriate option is option 1. Now what is option 1? Upholding custody while initiating dialogue. That is, offers a morally, legally tenable path. It preserves constitutional morality, which is advocated by Ambedkar. It ensures procedural justice by John Rawls. And it also affirms the Weberian legitimacy of the state, action rooted in law and conscience. Resorting to force would undermine both public trust and long-term peace building. Now, what extra precautions one should take with women protesters? So now let us try to see that, because that is part B of the question. Deploy trained women officers. Now, this is one of the recommendations of Justice Verma Committee, that whenever you are dealing with women, police should deploy women officers. So deploy trained police officers. Avoid physical confrontation and enable gender-sensitive crowd control. So this is again very important. Ensure video documentation, legal observers and medical help backup. Then use dialogue, not force, in tribal areas with historical grievance. So this is again. So these are the extra precautions which can be taken with women protesters. So ethical leadership lies not in domination, but in commanding legitimacy through restraint, dignity, and justice. Now, this completes our third case study. Now, just one basic thing I would like to tell. You might have seen in the answers. Once again, I will tell. References are very important, because once you are able to analyze the case study, you are able to find out what are the options available. Then you have to try to refer also various ethical theories which are relevant. You have to also try to refer various constitutional provisions. Then there are provisions in different acts. Then there are, along with constitutional different acts, you will be also various ethical theories. You can various committee reports. Then basically various thinkers' views. For example, Ambedkar, Gandhi. So all these, relevant things you have to quote, because then only your answer will become strong enough to fetch better marks. In next week, we are going to cover another 3 case studies which are left for 2024 paper. After that, if students demand, I may go for 2023 case studies also, because as you might have also seen that case studies here, quite large paragraphs are given. So first you have to read it very carefully, try to understand, and then try to apply various ethical theories, various other references, and then try to arrive at the appropriate answer. So with this, today's class is, I'm concluding. So if anybody wants to ask anything, otherwise I will close. Okay, then thank you everybody. We'll meet again next week with another three case studies of 2024 question paper. Thank you one and all.